Welcome to the Seven Crosses series for Workers and Resources Soviet Republic, and this is going to be the last video in this planning cycle for the implementation of the water and sewage update on this map. Now, but before I get into the detail of that, I just want to give you guys a bit of an update of where we are. But first, a big thank you for your comments and feedback. You guys give me a lot of things to think about, also quite a lot of support in relation to what we're trying to do here. And I have to admit, it's turned into a very long process. It's taken me so far about 12 hours to go through all 10 towns and set up the water and sewage and check it. You also notice that if you're following the series, you see the dates moved on a little bit. And the reason for that is that I was trying to place buildings and the game kept crashing. So what I've done is I've let the game run for, just under a day. And the result of that is now, if I come and show you Tourist Town here, all the Tourist Town is now ready to go. I've actually set up all the routes for the trucks that will take the sewage to the border. We've got there. I've also done the connections for all the technical offices. And that applies right across the map. If I come down to, well, we can go to Allerton. But this is an area where I haven't quite finished yet, and this is an area we're going to be working on. But you can see over here, the water pickup points are already done and linked in. So if I show you here, you can see that these have got. Now, these technical offices are a little bit different from the other technical offices in the sense that I've got one dedicated for water distribution and one for sewage pickup. And the actual water purification up here is still being built. You can see it here, but it's not that big a problem. Now, for anyone who's not been following this series, I've implemented the sewage across the complete map. I've now fully implemented water in 7 of the towns on the map. And what I've done in Allerton here is done the beginning of the supply process. Simply because it's taken a long time to find these locations with the maps, because Allerton actually needs 160 cubic meters of water per day. So what I've done is I've built a water well up here, running down to the purification plant here. The reason it's here is 2 reasons. One, it's about the only place I could actually build it because of the way that Allerton's laid out. Plus, it's close to the chemical production here, because this is a actual chemical water treatment plant. Now, Knife Edge is in a similar situation. What I've done in Knife Edge here is I've actually gone for Novu's gravel-based solution. When I placed the first building here, which is the full-size water filtration plant, I actually forgot that this actually, let's just turn off those turn off the filter and get rid of that. I forgot that I actually needed to provide water to these food factories. So what I've had to do is put in another little water filtration plant here. They're both gravel, because over here I've got a distribution office that will ship the gravel in. And of course I've also got to provide a primary water supply to the brewery here. So this takes 13 cubic meters of water. This one needs 4.5, so that's just under 20. And then we've got to add another extra 8.5 there. So I've laid in the primary supply, but not the distribution in there. Up in the main food town, that system has still got nothing to do. Now, before we get into doing any work, I just want to show you some interesting distributions. Now, this is Foodville. Now, one of the problems I got with Foodville, my first attempt was, if I come down here, is I put one pump and to supply Foodville here, and then I had to supply all the water out to these livestock farms. And you can see these are each one of these takes 18 cubic meters. And we round up to 20. That means that's 60. And then you've got 72, 84 cubic meters. Now, the actual drinking water demand for Foodville itself is only 70 cubic meters. So effectively what I had to do here was come up with a water supply system that could actually had to supply the equivalent of 2 towns. So what I did in the end is I split this. This has been split off completely so that the water supply can go out this way and it also goes out this way. I also had to extend it out, and this is a top tip, guys. If for some reason you supply fresh water to these industries, make absolutely certain that you've got a sewage connection, because even though these industries may not actually require water and will function normally, but the moment they flow over and touch the water supply, then they will generate sewage, and then you'll get a problem with the fact that they complain and get sick because of the sewage. The other place I want to give you guys a little bit of heads up, I had a little bit of fun again getting water into Stilton, and especially when I was testing it, because the actual water consumption for here is 233 cubic meters. Now that doesn't sound too bad, but what I actually found is when you've got these big blocks that contain nearly 400 people, so if you imagine I've got 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. So in this corner alone, I've got the equivalent of a small town. So one thing you've got to be aware of is that these little pickup points only pick up 20 cubic meters. Now you can push them up to about 40 cubic meters, but if you've got an area of a big concentration of tall buildings, what you need to do is actually make sure that you've got multiple water pickups. In fact, another good example is something I did over here. This is the chemical town, and I built this area here, and again, if you see here, we got 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 30. We've got the equivalent of 3,200 people living there, plus we've got another 1,600 over there. And if I actually go below, what you'll see is I've got water pickups all across, spread across the map. In fact, I'm not totally convinced that this is enough, because I've got 1, 2, 3, which is 60. But part of me says there should be another one up there. But you also get the inverse case here as well with sewage pickup, guys. So be aware that if you build dense towns, you need dense water supply. We got one there, we got one there, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got 5 pickups here. I'm not sure. And that's the sewage pickup. So I've actually got 5 distribution terminals in this area alone. When you come over to here, I've only got 1, 2, 3 in this town. So this area is actually slightly smaller. Let me just see. Why is that going? Well, this is another pickup here that comes up to here, which is a distribution, an offtake back to the water pickup point here. But if it doesn't work, what I can do, I've got another little terminal here which I can add water to, and this is something I'm going to be talking about when I actually do Allerton. That is the current situation, and life is a little bit interesting. Now what we're going to do is go to Allerton. Now if you read Community Report 49, you hear that the devs have actually increased the pressure of the pumps, and that's quite interesting, because you can see I've got a dual line down from here. You can see not all the pipes have been built. Now what I've got to do is get water up to here and water over to there, but what I'm going to do is use 2 large pumps. Part of this process, I just want to give you guys a little bit of a demonstration what can happen with these large pumps. Now what I'm going to do is put we can get a small pump or a big pumping station just there. One thing I would really like is a higher capacity pipe actually. And we're going to come into there. Now what I've got to do is run the water supply up to here, because I've got a sewage outfall here, and what I want to do is have 3 distribution nodes here. So the first one is going to be local to here. And I actually give you a bit of a tip, guys. I actually find that when putting the water out, because if I put this in, because this is a bit more prominent, I've actually found working underground is actually a little bit easier than if I come up here. I think with all the buildings it gets a little bit cluttered. If you go like this, it just seems to make it a little bit easier. So what I'm going to do is I need to make sure so that we just get here. However, if you're doing sewage, the converse seems to be the relevant, simply in the sense that the brown doesn't show up quite so well against the underground terrain. So what I'm going to do is put one there. We need to make sure that I can cover this area, but I want to cover as much of this area as possible. Oops, it won't let me put it in. Can't build. Oh, come on, game, you can do it. There we are. I think if we can turn that a little bit, that so make sure I'm covering that area there. We'll put that one there. Now what I'm doing is putting in 3 terminals that will cover the main part of the map, and we're just going to do that there, and then big water pipe. And what I'm going to do, run one down to there, and then the second one's going to go up to. Now this may look a bit strange because there's 2 close together, but again I've got some high density blocks in here, so that's the reason. And it probably is a little bit overkill, but what I'm finding with water is I don't really want that. I suppose we could hook. I think we'll go there. Now one thing when you're laying pipes is don't go up and down again. See, like there's a slope here, so if you're going to go up, so kind of try and go up, like up the slope. Don't go up the slope and then down again. So try and be a bit aware of where your lifts and rises are, because one thing I've noticed about the actual drinking water distribution is where the sewage pipes will go underground. If you pull through, the actual drinking water doesn't seem to follow that path that well. Oh, I think we're out to here, and we're going to come to there. So I'm quite happy with that. If I show you here, this covers this side, but I've got a lot of high density blocks in this corner. So if we come out again, what you'll see here is, again, we've got this little block corner here that's got 4, 8, 1600. You can say I've got equivalent of a small town in that area. Now what I'm going to do is we're going to run out this way. Again, I'm just going to put in a big pumping station. Press control. Actually, yeah, I think that would be good enough. What I'm going to do is just put a single connection in. Oops. And what you'll find, if I put in a single connection, bear in mind I've put in this, so this covers this. Now what I'm going to do is put in a single connection here. Whoops, nope. In the middle of these blocks here. Actually, yeah. One problem I'm finding with Allerton, I had exactly the same problem in Steeltown, is the density of the coverage. The density of the buildings has made things actually building things quite difficult. Right, so we've now this isn't the final system, but I just want to demonstrate something to you guys. So I'm just going to drop a save now so that I can come back to this. I'll be right back. So here we are, and what I'm going to do now, so I'm just going to unpause the game, let it build. It's actually a little bit smoother since I played on that extra day. Things are, I mean, they're not brilliant. It's not brilliant, but it's a little bit smoother than it was before. And we're just going to build this, and we're just going to manually buy the chemicals because this is only a test. The other thing I will draw your attention to is the fact you can see that I've already spent what moving down towards 400 million to do this. So we've now got that supply there. I just want to enable this, and we'll just go to water flow. What will happen is as the as we get some workers in here, you'll see the water flow will start to spread across the map. If we come down here, you'll see that. Now, don't get too worried about these pipes being overloaded, because what happens when you first start up is that you get a lot of flow because these flasks are filling up. And what you'll see over here is there's a little bit of it's going to take a little while here because there's only the one pipe. But what I do want to show you is if we come to the overlay and we go to water pressure. Why is this not? Okay. I suppose it does help if I actually put the large pipe connection in. Okay, that would just... that's the effect I want to show you guys. If you have a single connection to a large pump, you get this overpressure, where if you've got this side, because I've got 3 connections in here, you see that the actual pressure is 2 bars. And what I've found with a little bit of experimentation, this is still a bit high, but what you don't want is anything that's under 1 bar. The optimism, and what that does is it actually ensures that these flasks fill up. So what I'm saying is, if you come into here, what you'll see is that these flasks are filling up, but you've got this massive overpressure. But if I change back to water flow, see, this is actually filling up. But what can happen is, and I found this in Stilton, even though you've got the one connection in a really dense area like this, you will get problems. Now, just to kind of show you what you can do, in fact, if I probably go back to the overpressure, I'll do this properly. This is just me doing the demonstration. If I take a big pipe now and run through to, we've got to connect. Got to connect one to there, and if I put in another actual connection into, oops, I don't want a pipe connection, I want a substation connection. So if I put in maybe if I put it in about there, and what you see now is if I get rid of that and we actually go to the water pressure, what you see is the water pressure is now dropped to 3.3 bar, but the flow is still oops, sorry. I'm having to learn to live with a little bit, but you can see that the actual flow has dropped down now. The reason for that is that all these flasks are full. But if I now put in another pipe, and we're a lot of infrastructure here, isn't helping matters very much. Press Q, you can get down under the infrastructure. And if we let this run, and what you see is this pipe will go red, this pipe will go there, and you see the flow. Now if I go back to the pressure, what you'll see now is that you've got 3.7 bars here supplying the actual water. Where's all my water trucks go? Water trucks are probably filling up the gap here. Yep. Now this is one of the potential problems that you're going to get now, because what will happen is that if these guys start delivering water out to here, you'll see that the sewage systems will start to fill up. And what you need is the sewage trucks. See, this is already at 18%. So what you're going to need, so if you get a bleed out into this area, you could get a problem. Wow, there was a little bit of a big pause here, and that will also apply to your coal mines as well. But I've got out here, I've got no sewage disposal. So this is something that I've actually noticed even in there. But what you can do is, if you come to the office here, see this is set to 3 meters. If you drop it down a bit, you can actually restrict it so it doesn't go out too far. So when you're planning your coverage, be aware that you may have to compromise a little bit, because if you come like that, and then because what will happen is eventually, if you're not careful, these will fill up, and then eventually what you get is disease out here. Now that's something I'm going to have to test later on, well, especially in Stilton. If we go over to Stilton, I know I'm kind of getting a little bit over here. Now these offices, don't think, yeah, they're actually set to here as well. And what you'll find out here is that, but because they're not actually delivering the water out here, because there is no water supply, actually, come to think of it. I don't know if I can, where's the plant here? I've actually had to put 2 water filtration plants in here, and what we actually need to do is purchase gravel. Let me just do that very quickly. Just pause. Now when I first did this, virtually the whole of Stilton was red, but what you'll find now is these guys will start going out. You can see it here. Eventually they will distribute water out to here. So what I have to do is do a test and see whether I need extra sewage disposable capabilities over here, or whether the actual sewage pickup trucks over here will be able to deal with the issue, because it's more to do with the efficiency of these guys dishing out the water. So that's something you need to bear in mind, even though technically you don't need it. We go back to Allerton. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to stop and reload so that I can redo the water supply here. And now I've done the demo, so we're just going to come back in here. I'm just going to load back in again. Welcome back. Apologies for the break in the video, because what actually happened was I loaded the wrong file. What we got here is this first supply out here, which I hadn't connected, so we're just going to connect you in, so fix that mistake. What I'm going to do is keep this one in case I need a backup supply, but it shouldn't happen. Of course, we're going to need to run the second pipe through here, and this time I'm going to be a little bit more kind of astute. I think we can run into there, connect to there. Now we've already got a fair amount of cover here, but this one's going to suffer a little bit because of the blocks on this side. So what I want to do is put in this one again, but I'm probably not going to put it quite so far forward as I did before. I would like to have it somewhere in the center, so that what it can do is it can kind of fill up on any gaps in this area. In fact, no, maybe I need to support this area here. Maybe we will stick with this in this position here. So we'll just put that in there, and this time it will work properly from the get-go. And I think if I come out that way, I have to go down under all these pipes. It occurs to me that when the metro update comes, it's going to be with all this web of underground power cables, water, heating pipes. Putting the metro into an existing series could be quite interesting. In fact, it just occurred to me that if I do manage to pull this off and stabilize the economy, what I'm going to do is probably keep this game. It's been running. Okay, I'll do it occasionally. I might keep this game, so when the metro update comes out, we'll see if we can actually put the metro system into this this series, and then we can have a metro system. Right, guys, what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to drop a quick save so that we've got this situation saved. And what that does now is effectively put the working water supply into Allerton. Let me just put it on my chart. I've actually got a chart of all the different towns so I can actually remember what I've done. So that is the water supply into Allerton. I'm not going to put the water supply in on camera for Knife Edge, but I'll just talk very quickly about what I've got planned, because we've got this area here. We've got to send out a water supply over to here, because we've got to supply some of these industries. Luckily, mainly the distillery over here. Luckily, you can see I've already got the sewage drains in here, so I can put the water into there. There's a little bit of a weakness in this area. I have to be a bit careful. So I'm going to have a dedicated line run out to provide the water to this area, and then what I'm going to do is because everything's a bit spread out, we'll probably have another water terminal here. Then of course we're going to need doubled up terminals here. In fact, I'll probably put a terminal out here so that we can guarantee a water supply to the food factory here. I mean, the coal-fired power station isn't going to be particularly that important. So that is something I'm going to do off camera, because what I really would like to do is show you about putting in the full supply up here in the food town, because I haven't actually done anything here. Now, the actual water demand for this area, it's got a population of 4,000, which means domestic supply is about 70 cubic meters. But of course, on top of that, we've got to add another, say, round it up 20. So we need about 90 plus water supply. Now, the problem is that if we come into here, the small well is 70. So what I'm going to do is put in a manned one. And yeah, I've already chosen the area here. Now, what I do want to show you guys is if we come over here, you see the yellow dots? The yellow dots actually reflect the pollution of the buildings, so you get yellow dots on buildings. But if you come over here, what you'll find is that when you get near industry, those yellow dots the amount of coverage will affect. So like here, so because we're over here, we've only got a small yellow dots on the edge there. So we've only got 9% pollution there. So when you're trying to place these buildings, pay attention to the dots around the outside. But what we're going to do is we're going to put this, I think 6% is about the best I can get, but we're going to kind of put a water well there. See that the buildings actually drop quite nicely now. And of course we're going to need a big water treatment plant. So the small one, technically the small one is big enough, but it's right on the edge and I'm not comfortable with that. Therefore, what I'm going to do is put the big one in, simply because I want the extra capacity, because this town may need to grow. And again, this is something you do need to consider. And of course, the other thing you've got to remember is this is a mistake I actually didn't realise until, and I had to go back and fix. I can't remember which town it is, though. Be aware that you need the sewage line, but also because this is flat. Oops, I don't want that. What's that? Out of there. I need to check the height round here just to make sure that that's 11.3, this is 11.42. So yeah, we'll be okay. So got a big water treatment plant. It's nice and green, so yeah, we'll go there. Just put you in there. This one is pausing a little bit. And what I'm going to do is we'll put now I did consider using a tower, but I think it'd be just easier to do a fully pumped supply in it, because this area is just so flat. Find the pumps, and again we could probably do it with small ones. In fact, let's try it with small ones just to see if it will work, though we might need 2 small ones, because they've actually changed the capacities. So what we'll do is we'll put a small pump in, and I think the part of the problem is it's right on that sewage pipe. So we'll just put in a small one and see how much capacity it is, and if it doesn't work, we've got plenty of space here. We can flag it to be deleted. The way I'm looking at this is that we've got two kind of zones here. In fact, I think we'll do it by with pumps. What I want is the industrial on its own self-contained supply, and the locals on self-contained supply. I think what we will do is stick with the small pumps. I think we can get you there, because the actual water demand isn't that high. And what we're going to do is just, I think we'll put one there. And we'll probably put one there. That will cover that area. Covers that side. That covers that side. And the question is, do I do it with one pump or two pumps? Because I'd have to put a splitter in. I think we'll put a water switch in just as an experiment. So run pump pipe there, and then we'll run a medium pipe to there, and whoops. So effectively what we're doing is supplying all the water to here from one side. Technically we should be able to do the same for this side using a small pump. So just come in. And what we'll do is we only got to cover this area, but we've also got to cover this area. I think we'll put you there. This has already got a sewage line, so we'll be okay. We put a splitter in, and actually, because the ground's flat, we don't have to worry too much about the consequences of having to pump uphill. This is something you do need to consider. If these were in higher areas, I think we can run a medium pipe to this guy. Come in that way. What's the capacity here? 8.5. I think we could probably run a medium pipe into here as well. Because of course, one thing I haven't had to consider with this setup is cost. And what I'm going to do now, guys, again, exactly the same as last time. I'm just going to do a save so that I can redo this if it's not right. The other thing I haven't done is we need a water pickup point. Actually, I can't remember if I actually put a sewage pickup point in, actually, come to think of it. Yeah, there's a bit of a failure there. There's the sewage pickup point there. The sewage pickup point there. We may need to deal with the sewage side, but I'll do that off camera, because a lot of these pipes have already been built, so I'd have to break the pipes to get in there, and also I'd have to work out where the capability is. But what we will do is put in water. Actually, no, what I'll do is because I've made a mistake, we'll just run a test first and see how well the water supply goes. Oops, something I haven't done is put road in. Well, need to put that road connection in so that the workforce should be able to get to here. Make sure. And Can actually put the road in here either. I've been a little bit too focused on other things. We can hook you up to there. Of course, we'll just do a quick manual purchase of chemicals. Let everything settle down. Come to here. Check flow. Now you see that the flow here is 1 cubic meters. Now if we come to here, what you'll see is that this water pressure is a little bit low, which is, but it's still, because it's flat and the water demand isn't that high, it's still doing the job. But this is where you've got to be a bit careful, that you need to check out here. See, this is now fluctuating a little bit, and we need to check out here. You can see there's not really enough water pressure, although it's saying it's 0.9 bar. Is what I found is that you've really got to be over 1 bar to be able to get that water supply in. So you can just see there with this supply system. If we come over to, so what I'm thinking is, this is 0.9 bar. Building without drinking water. See, it's not, the pressure isn't enough to get the water out here, so this isn't going to work. Small pumps isn't big enough. So what we're going to do is take a different approach to this. So what we'll do is, I'm just going to load the game back in again, and we'll redo this with a different setting. So here we are back for take 2. What I'm going to do now is just put in the water process again. So we're going to have to big water well. Just push it out here. We're actually going to do it properly this time. Put the footpath in. Talk you through to like that. And then we'll put the water purification or water treatment large. Put you high enough. That. Wait for the pause. We'll actually put the roads in properly in the beginning. And we'll put that footpath connection to there. So I've now got this here, and we're gonna. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use bigger pumps to ensure the water supply here, because really and truthfully we need nearly 100 cubic meters. So I'm going to put in a large pump this time. Probably don't need it, but I think I'd rather be a little bit over the top. And what we're going to do is put a large pump over here as well. And that's right in range of the power. That's in range of the power. Go underground. Now that's going to cause an overpressure. And what we're going to do now is come back to there. And I've still forgotten to put the water loading station. You over there. You're in range of power. The game to do its stuff. I'm going to put the water terminals there. No, I think what I might do is put this a little bit closer, up higher. Maybe like one up in this corner. You need to maybe we don't have the full coverage actually, so maybe we'll do half and half. Just kind of, yeah. I think I could get this one here. Zoom out a bit further. I'm gonna put one there. I'm gonna put another one in there. Just press shift to make sure the pipe's the right way round. Probably do with just going to zoom in so I can see. You there. Just confirm you cover the bottom of the pipeline. Then what we'll do is we'll put a switch in roughly about here. Just get rid of that. And I'm gonna back line we're under that. And then we'll do a medium light to there. We'll run the medium supply up to there, and then we'll come out of there. Need to gotta get under all these pipes. This is just notice that this is because the main all the main area here is pretty flat. And what we should be able to do now is if I put a switch in about here and then put a substation about here and then put the other one back over like it was before, put you about there. We'll put a big pipe through, right, and then we're a medium pipe from there. There. Just press escape. What I'm going to do is just save and save over this again so that we can test it. So here we go, guys. We've got lift off again. Being built. I've got my office here that can deliver chemicals later on. We're just going to purchase the chemicals. And we'll get the pressure meters up again to see what. Oops, no, I want heating. See, what you see now is we got 1.87 bar across the map. One thing I have noticed is that when you first start something up, it takes a little while for the actual water to pressurize across the system. Let's have a look here. If you guys are, you're not getting any water, so I have connected this properly, haven't I? There's a break in the pipe there. Let's come in here. Big pipe. That's easily fixed. So you can see we've got a good supply there. If we come back to the pressure, we got 1.1 bar here, and this is what I've found, that if you can get around 1 bar, it's good, but anything under 1 bar you may get a bit of a problem with the actual supply. But I think once we got that, I think that works. I'm happy with that. So we've done it with 1 large pump. So again, this is something you need to consider and balance against. Can you do it with 1 large pump, 3 connections, or do you want multiple small pumps? But I'm pretty happy with that. We'll just take a quick look at the waste disposal just to see if it's actually working, because I'm a little bit nervous with here. Yeah, we're not getting that much there because the place is so flat. I think we are getting a flow. It's quite easy. It's easier. Yeah, we're getting 52 coming down from here. You'll probably find a lot of that is coming out of here. Again, this is something you got to consider with industry. Industry produces as much wastewater as supply water, so it's a possibility that this, if we wanted to add another food factory, we'd have to put a separate supply line in here to ensure that it works. You can see it's glowing red. But so the idea, the solution would be is to have the domestic supply and then separate off the actual what we call it, the industrial supply. But I'm quite happy with that, and I think this is where I'm going to leave it, guys, because I don't want the video to be too long. And what I'm going to do now is finish off knife edge, go all the way around, double check everything that I've done, just test it completely, and then in the next part, we, in theory, if I can get it all together, we will have liftoff, and then we'll deal with the whole economy with water, which could be quite interesting. But this is where I'm going to leave it. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Hope you found it interesting. And until next time, whatever you do, enjoy your gaming.